The council chamber was silent except for the soft hum of the translation devices. Ambassador Hana sat in the human delegation seat, her hands folded calmly on the smooth table before her. Around her, representatives from 40 different species filled the curved chamber. Some had scales, some had feathers, and some were just clouds of gas contained in environmental suits. But they all shared one thing in common. They were all staring at the holographic display in the center of the room with expressions of concern. The distress signal played for the third time. A thin, wavering voice spoke in the common galactic language. "This is Lyrian Colony 7. We are under attack. The Krell have breached our outer defenses. Our shields will fail in 6 hours. We have 40,000 civilians, please. Anyone, help us." Counselor Thel, the Lyrian representative, stood on shaking legs. His species was small and delicate, with skin that seemed almost translucent under the chamber lights. "Please," he said, his voice breaking. "My people are dying. We need help now." The Vrin representative, a large creature with 4 arms and rocky skin, spoke first. "The nearest defense fleet is 3 weeks away. There is nothing we can do." "We could send a message to the fleet," suggested the Pelian ambassador, though her voice lacked conviction. "Tell them to hurry." "In 3 weeks, there will be no one left to save," Thel said. His hands trembled as he gripped the edge of his podium. "The Krell do not leave survivors. They take slaves." Hana had been quiet until now. She knew the council well enough after 5 years. They would debate, they would express sympathy, and they would do nothing. The Galactic Council preferred diplomacy and discussion. Action, especially military action, made them uncomfortable. "What about the border patrol ships?" someone asked. "Too small, too few. The Krell have 30 warships. Perhaps we could negotiate." "The Krell do not negotiate. They are pirates." Back and forth the arguments went. Hana checked her datapad discreetly. The human fleet was close, very close. But she waited. Timing mattered in diplomacy. Finally, after another 10 minutes of useless discussion, Hana stood. The chamber fell silent. It always did when a human stood. Some species leaned back instinctively. Others watched her with wide eyes. Fear. That was what she saw in their faces. Always fear. "The human expeditionary fleet is conducting exercises in the Karos sector," Hana said. Her voice was calm and clear. "That is 2 days from Lyrian space at maximum speed. We can be there in 40 hours. The chamber erupted, not with relief, but with protest. "Absolutely not!" The Vrin representative slammed 2 of his fists on his desk. "Humans? You would send Deathworlders to a civilian colony?" "The cure would be worse than the disease," another voice called out. "The Lyrians would be trading one nightmare for another." Hana remained standing, her expression neutral. She had expected this. 5 years in the council had taught her that most species saw humans as barely controlled savages. Earth was classified as a Class 12 death world. Only 3 known planets in the galaxy were more hostile to life. Humans had evolved in a place with crushing gravity, extreme weather, dangerous predators, and countless diseases. The fact that they had not only survived but thrived terrified the rest of the galaxy. "We are offering help," Hana said simply. "You have no other options." "We will not authorize military action by human forces in Galactic Council space," the Vrin representative declared. "It sets a dangerous precedent." "Then 40,000 Lyrians will die," Hana said. She looked directly at Thel. "And you will have made that choice." The chamber fell silent again. Thel's large eyes filled with moisture. His species cried differently than humans, but Hana recognized grief when she saw it. He looked around the chamber at all the other representatives. All of them avoided his gaze. "Please," Thel whispered. "They are children, families. My own sister lives in that colony." No one spoke. Hana could see the calculation happening behind their eyes. They did not want to be responsible for what happened next, but they also did not want human warships in council space. The prejudice ran deep. Humans had been admitted to the council only 5 years ago, and only because they had developed faster than light travel on their own. The council could not ignore them any longer. But acceptance and trust were different things. I will take full responsibility, Thel said suddenly. His voice grew stronger. As the representative of the Lyrian people, I formally request military assistance from the human delegation. Whatever happens, the responsibility is mine alone. The other representatives shifted uncomfortably. Technically, Thel had the right to make that request. Each species could ask for aid from any other, but no one had ever asked humans for military help before. Hana inclined her head. The human government will honor your request, Counselor. I will contact Admiral Jungi immediately. Our fleet will depart within the hour. This is madness, the Vryn representative muttered. This is desperation, Hana corrected. She gathered her datapad and prepared to leave. She had work to do. As she walked toward the exit, she heard whispers following her. Deathworlders. Barbarians. Those poor Lyrians don't know what they've done. Better the Krell than the humans. Hana kept walking. Let them whisper. Let them judge. Her people had learned long ago that words meant nothing compared to actions. The galaxy feared humans, but fear was just ignorance wearing a mask. Perhaps it was time to remove that mask. She reached her private communication room and activated the quantum link. The signal would reach Admiral Jungi in minutes, traveling faster than light through the special paired particles. His face appeared on the screen almost immediately. He was a tall man with short dark hair and sharp eyes. Behind him, she could see the bridge of his flagship. Ambassador, he said, I received your alert. We are already preparing for departure. Good. You have 40 hours to reach Lyrian Colony 7. They have 6 hours before their shields fail. We will be there in 38, Jungi said. It was not a boast. It was a simple statement of fact. The Krell? 30 ships, standard pirate configuration, Jungi nodded. Understood. We will handle it. Jungi, Hana said, her voice softer now. The galaxy is watching. This is our chance to show them who we really are. I know, he said. We will not waste it. He paused. And Hana? Tell Counselor Thel that his people will be safe. You have my word. The transmission ended. Hana sat back in her chair and closed her eyes for a moment. 40,000 lives hung in the balance. The reputation of the entire human race rested on what happened in the next 2 days. No pressure at all. She stood and returned to the council chamber. Thel was still there, sitting alone at his desk. Everyone else had left. He looked up as she approached. They will come? He asked. They are already on their way, Hana said. Admiral Jungi gave me his word. Your people will be safe. Thel's eyes filled with tears again. Thank you. I know what my people think of yours. I know what everyone says, but you are the only ones who said yes. Hana placed a hand gently on his thin shoulder. Remember that, Counselor. When this is over, remember who answered your call. The flagship Indomitable cut through space like a blade. Inside the Combat Information Center, Lieutenant Commander Do-hyun studied the tactical displays with focused intensity. Numbers scrolled across his screen. Distance calculations. Fuel consumption. Weapon status. Everything had to be perfect. Fleet status report, Admiral Jungi said from the command chair. His voice was calm, but Do-hyun knew him well enough to hear the edge beneath. They were pushing the engines hard. Very hard. All 12 ships reporting ready, sir, Do-hyun replied. Weapons armed, shields at maximum. We will reach Lyrian space in 37 hours at current speed. Make it 36, Jungi said. Do-hyun allowed himself a small smile. Yes, sir. Around him, the crew worked with quiet efficiency. These were not new recruits. Every person on the Indomitable had seen combat. They knew what was coming. The Krell were brutal but predictable. They relied on numbers and aggression. Human tactics were different. Humans planned, humans adapted, humans won. In another part of the ship, Captain Minji addressed her strike team. She commanded the Typhoon, a fast attack ship designed for close combat. Her crew called themselves the Storm Riders. They were proud of the name. Listen up, Minji said, standing before her assembled officers. We have one job. Get between the Krell and those civilians. I don't care what the galaxy thinks about us. I don't care about their stupid prejudice. 40,000 people are about to die unless we do our job, so we are going to do our job. Understood? Yes, ma'am. The response was immediate and sharp. Good. Get your teams ready. This is going to be fast and it is going to be violent. The Krell think they are tough. Let us show them what Deathworlders really look like. The team dispersed, already running through combat checks. Minji watched them go with satisfaction. These were her people. They would not fail. Meanwhile, far across space on Lyrian Colony 7, Sella sat in the underground shelter with 200 other civilians. The children were crying. The adults tried to stay calm, but fear hung in the air like smoke. Every few minutes, the shelter shook as another explosion hit somewhere above them. Teacher Sella? A small voice said. A young girl named Piri looked up at her with wide, frightened eyes. Are the bad people going to get us? Sella pulled the child close. No. Sweetie, help is coming. Who is coming? Another child asked. Sella hesitated. She had heard the announcement. Human ships were on their way. Humans. The galaxy's nightmare species. The Deathworlders who came from a planet so hostile that simply living there required strength beyond imagination. She had seen the videos that circulated on the networks. Humans hunting animals for food. Humans swimming in water filled with predators. Humans climbing mountains that would kill most species just from the thin air. And now these same humans were coming to save them. Friends, she finally said. Friends are coming to help us. She hoped that was true. Back on the Indomitable, Do-hyun intercepted a transmission from the Krell fleet. The pirates were not bothering to encrypt their communications. They never did. Arrogance made them careless. Admiral, Do-hyun said, the Krell know we are coming. They are not retreating. Yoongi raised an eyebrow. No? No, sir. Their commander sent a message. He says he welcomes the challenge. He has fought council fleets before, and won. He has 30 ships to our 12. What is his name? Vrax. He commands from a heavy cruiser called the Blood Talon. Yoongi nodded slowly. Send a response. Tell Commander Vrax that we accept his welcome, and tell him we will see him soon. Do-hyun composed the message and sent it. Then he pulled up the tactical analysis. The Krell fleet was standard pirate configuration. Heavy on firepower, light on defense. They used overwhelming force and intimidation. Against most species, it worked. Against humans? Do-hyun ran the combat simulations. Every scenario showed the same result. The Krell would lose. It was not even close. Sir, he said quietly, the simulations show a 97% probability of victory with minimal damage to our fleet. Only 97? Yoongi said with the hint of a smile. We will have to do better than that. In the crew quarters, soldiers prepared their gear. They talked and joked, keeping the mood light. Dark humor was a human specialty. It helped with the stress. Think the Krell will actually fight? One soldier asked. They always do, another replied. Right up until they realize they are losing. Then they run. Not this time. Nowhere to run. We will be between them and the jump point. Good. Make it quick then. I want to be back for the card game on Friday. Laughter rippled through the group. To an outsider, it might seem callous. But this was how humans dealt with danger. They laughed at it. They mocked it. They refused to give it power over them. Lieutenant Commander Do-hyun made his way to the observation deck. Through the massive window, stars streaked past as the ship pushed through faster than light space. He thought about the Lyrians waiting in their shelters, frightened, alone, probably terrified of the humans coming to save them just as much as they feared the Krell attacking them. It was not fair. Humans had worked so hard to be accepted by the galaxy. They followed the rules. They respected the treaties. They joined the council in good faith. And still, the other species looked at them with fear and disgust. Just because Earth was a harsh world. Just because humans were stronger and faster than most species. Just because they came from a place where everything tried to kill you. But maybe this mission would change things. Maybe when the galaxy saw humans risk their lives for strangers, saw them fight to protect the weak, they would finally understand. Humans were not monsters. They were just people who happened to be very, very good at surviving. Thinking deep thoughts? Captain Minji said, walking up beside him. Just wondering what happens after, Do-hyun said. After we win? Yes, after we save them. What will the galaxy think then? Minji shrugged. Maybe they will still be afraid of us. Maybe they will hate us even more. Or maybe, just maybe, they will finally see us for who we really are. And who are we? Minji smiled. The people who show up when everyone else makes excuses. Down in engineering, the crew pushed the engines harder than recommended. The chief engineer, a woman named Sumi, monitored the readings with a careful eye. They were running hot, but within tolerance. Barely. How much longer can we maintain this speed? Her assistant asked. Long enough, Sumi said. We will get there in time. And if the engines fail? They will not fail. I will not let them. Those people need us. On the bridge, Admiral Yoongi received regular updates from all 12 ships. Everything was proceeding according to plan. They would arrive at Lyrian space with full power, full weapons, and a fully rested crew. The Krell would not know what hit them. He thought about Ambassador Hana's words. The galaxy was watching. This was their chance to prove themselves. But Yoongi was not thinking about politics or reputation. He was thinking about 40,000 civilians who were about to be enslaved or killed. Everything else was just noise. All hands, this is Admiral Yoongi, he said, activating the ship-wide communication system. In 36 hours, we will engage the Krell fleet at Lyrian Colony 7. Our mission is simple. Protect the civilians. Stop the pirates. Show no mercy to those who prey on the weak. We are the thin line between the innocent and those who would harm them. We will not fail. We cannot fail. The galaxy expects us to be monsters. Let us show them what real monsters look like, and let us show them who fights monsters. Prepare for combat. That is all. Throughout the fleet, the message was received. Soldiers checked their weapons one more time. Engineers ran final diagnostics. Pilots reviewed attack patterns. And in every heart, the same thought burned bright. They were coming. And nothing would stop them. The human fleet dropped out of faster-than-light travel at the edge of Lyrian space. 12 ships appeared in perfect formation, their weapons already powered and shields at maximum. On the bridge of the Indomitable, Admiral Yoongi studied the tactical display with cold focus. Krell fleet detected, Lieutenant Commander Do-hyun reported. 30 ships in orbit around the colony. They are moving to engage. Distance? 2 million kilometers and closing. Yoongi nodded. All ships, battle formation Delta. Minji, take your strike group and flank them from the port side. Use the third moon for cover. Copy that, Captain Minji's voice came through clearly. The Typhoon and 3 other fast attack ships broke formation and accelerated away. On the Krell flagship Blood Talon, Commander Vrax watched the human ships with growing confidence. 12 ships against his 30. The humans were either very brave or very stupid. He had fought the Council's defense forces many times. They were weak and predictable. These humans would be no different. All ships, advance and destroy, Vrax ordered. Show these Deathworlders what real warriors look like. The Krell fleet surged forward, weapons blazing. 30 ships moving as a massive wave of steel and fire. It was an impressive sight. It was also exactly what Yoongi had expected. Wait for it, Yoongi said calmly. The Krell ships were rushing forward, abandoning any defensive formation. Aggression over strategy, typical pirates. They are entering weapons range, Do-hyun announced. Fire! The human fleet opened up with surgical precision. Railguns designed to function in Earth's crushing atmosphere tore through space at impossible speeds. The first salvo hit 5 Krell ships before they could react. Shields collapsed, hulls ruptured. 2 ships exploded immediately. The other 3 spun away, badly damaged. Vrax stared at his screen in shock. 5 ships, in the first 10 seconds. What kind of weapons were those? Return fire! All ships, return fire! The Krell fleet responded with their own weapons, but the humans were already moving. The ships turned and accelerated with impossible agility, pulling maneuvers that should have crushed their crews under the force. 4G turns, 5G turns. The human ships danced through space like hunting birds. "They are too fast," Vrax's tactical officer said, his voice rising with panic. "Our targeting systems cannot lock on." On the Typhoon, Captain Minji led her strike group around the third moon exactly as planned. The Krell had focused all their attention on the main fleet. They had forgotten about the flankers. "Rookie mistake. All ships, engage at will," Minji said. "Target their engines. Make them sitting targets." The 4 strike ships burst from behind the moon and hit the Krell formation from the side. Precision weapons fire disabled engine after engine. Krell ships found themselves unable to maneuver, spinning helplessly in space. In the Combat Information Center, Do-Yun coordinated the battle with the efficiency of a chess master. Every move had been planned. Every contingency had been considered. The humans were not fighting harder. They were fighting smarter. "3 more Krell ships down," he reported. "Enemy formation is breaking apart. They are trying to regroup." "Do not let them," Yoongi ordered. "Press the attack." The Indomitable drove straight into the center of the Krell formation. Point defense systems, designed to shoot down missiles in Earth's storms, swatted aside incoming fire like insects. The massive ship's main guns fired continuously, each shot calculated to maximum effect. Vrax finally understood the terrible truth. He was not fighting a council fleet. He was fighting predators. These humans came from a world that tried to kill them every single day. They had evolved to hunt, to survive, to win. Their ships were not just machines. They were extensions of that evolutionary imperative. "All ships, retreat!" Vrax shouted. "Fall back to the jump point." But the humans had anticipated that too. Minji's strike group had already circled around, cutting off the escape route. The Krell were surrounded. "Sir, they are attempting to flee," Do-Hyun said. "Let them try," Yoongi replied. His voice was like ice. "Any ship that breaks formation, destroy it. Any ship that surrenders, disable it and take the crew prisoner. Anyone who fires on civilians dies. Make that clear." The message was broadcast to the Krell fleet in their own language. For a long moment, nothing happened. Then 7 Krell ships powered down their weapons and shields. They knew when they were beaten. The rest tried to run or fight. It did not matter which. The human fleet moved with ruthless efficiency. Ships that ran were caught and disabled. Ships that fought were destroyed. The battle was not a contest. It was an execution. Vrax made one final desperate decision. If he was going to die, he would take as many humans with him as possible. He aimed his crippled flagship directly at the Indomitable and fired all remaining engines. "Ramming vector detected," Do-Yun said calmly. "Point defense, fire," Yoongi ordered. The Indomitable's defensive guns tracked the incoming ship with perfect accuracy. Thousands of rounds per minute, each round the size of a human fist. The Krell flagship was torn apart before it covered half the distance. Vrax died never knowing if his final attack would have succeeded. It would not have. 47 minutes after the battle began, it was over. 23 Krell ships destroyed. 7 captured. The remaining ships? There were no remaining ships. The human fleet floated in Lyrian space, virtually undamaged. 3 ships had a minor hull damage, 0 casualties. On the colony below, Sella and the other Lyrians had watched the battle through their sensors. They had seen 30 pirate ships face 12 human vessels. They had expected a long, brutal fight. Instead, they watched the humans dismantle the Krell fleet like a surgeon removing a tumor. Fast. Precise. Overwhelming. "They won," someone whispered in the shelter. "The humans won." "But what happens now?" another voice asked. Fear still colored the words. The Krell were gone. But now there were humans in orbit. Deathworlders. The galaxy's monsters. Were they really saved, or had they just traded one nightmare for another? Admiral Yoongi stood on the bridge and looked at the planet below. Somewhere down there, 40,000 people were waiting. Scared. Uncertain. Probably terrified of the very people who had just saved their lives. "Do-Yun, scan the colony. Damage report." Shields held, sir. The Krell never reached the surface. Some damage to the orbital platforms, but the colony itself is intact. Good. Contact them. Let them know they are safe. A moment later, the communication channel opened. A shaking voice came through. This is Lyrian Colony 7. Who am I speaking to? This is Admiral Jungi of the Human Expeditionary Fleet. The threat has been eliminated. You are safe now. We will begin landing rescue operations immediately. There was a long silence. Then the voice returned, thick with emotion. Thank you. Thank you so much. Jungi closed his eyes briefly. This was why they did it. Not for glory, not for reputation. For moments like this. For voices filled with relief and gratitude, for lives saved. Prepare landing teams, he ordered. And someone get me Ambassador Hana. She needs to know we succeeded. Captain Minji brought the Typhoon around for a patrol sweep, making sure no Krell ships had escaped. Her crew was already celebrating, but she kept them focused. The battle was over, but their work was not done yet. Good flying, everyone, she said over the ship's intercom. Now comes the hard part. We need to land and make contact with the civilians. Remember your training. We are not here to scare them. We are here to help them. Be professional. Be kind. Show them who we really are. Down in the shelter, Sela gathered the children around her. The fighting is over, she told them. The humans won. They saved us. Are humans really scary? Piri asked. Sela did not know how to answer. Everything she had heard said yes, but everything she had just witnessed said something different. The humans had traveled across space to help strangers. They had fought and risked their lives for people they had never met. That did not sound like monsters. That sounded like heroes. I guess we are about to find out, she said softly. The landing shuttle touched down outside the main civilian shelter with barely a whisper. Admiral Jungi stepped out first, followed by Lieutenant Commander Do-hyun and a medic named Corporal Junho. They had chosen a small team deliberately. Less intimidating. Or at least, as less intimidating as humans could be. Jungi had left his weapons on the ship. He still wore his combat armor, but he had removed the helmet. It was a gesture of peace, of trust. He hoped the Lyrians would understand. The shelter's blast door was closed. Jungi could see cameras tracking their movement. Somewhere inside, people were watching, deciding, judging. He stopped 10 meters from the door and waited. Inside the shelter, Sela watched the monitors with her heart pounding. The humans were massive. Even through the grainy camera feed, she could see how they towered over everything around them. The leader, the one who had identified himself as Admiral Jungi, stood almost 2 meters tall. His shoulders were broad, his posture straight and confident. The way he moved spoke of strength and control. What should we do? Someone asked behind her. We open the door, Sela said. Her voice was steadier than she felt. They saved us. The least we can do is thank them. She made her way to the door controls. Her hands shook as she entered the code. The door began to open with a heavy grinding sound. Light from outside poured in. Sela stepped forward, squinting against the brightness. The 3 humans stood waiting. They were even bigger up close. Sela barely came up to Admiral Jungi's chest. Everything about him was intimidating. The armor, the muscles, the eyes that tracked her movement with predatory precision. But then he smiled. It was a gentle smile, warm and reassuring. He lowered himself to one knee, bringing his face closer to her level. A gesture of respect. Of peace. Hello, he said in her language. The translator made his words understandable, but she could hear the effort he was making to speak slowly and clearly. My name is Jungi. Are you hurt? Sela found her voice. No, we are safe, thanks to you. I am glad, Jungi said. He gestured to his companions. This is Lieutenant Commander Do-hyun and Corporal Junho. We have medical supplies and food. May we help? Sela nodded, stepping aside. The 3 humans entered the shelter carefully, mindful of their size. The Lyrians inside pressed back against the walls, giving them space. Children clutched their parents. Adults watched with wide, fearful eyes. Junho immediately went to work. He opened his pack and began distributing medical supplies. Not the standard emergency rations most species used, but real supplies. Bandages, medicine, even some food from Earth, fresh fruit, bread, clean water. For the children, Junho said softly, handing packages to Sela. It is safe. We tested it for compatibility with Lyrian biology. A young girl approached slowly. Piri, the same one who had asked Sela if the bad people would get them. She stared up at Junho with enormous eyes. Hello, little one, Junho said, kneeling down. Even kneeling, he was taller than she was. What is your name? Piri, the girl whispered. That is a beautiful name. Are you hungry, Piri? She nodded. Junho handed her a piece of fruit. It was something called an apple, red and shiny. Piri took it hesitantly, then bit into it. Her eyes widened with delight at the sweet taste. Good? Junho asked. Very good, Piri said, smiling for the first time in days. Other children began to approach. Slowly at first, then with growing confidence. Soon Junho was surrounded by young Lyrians, all curious and hungry. He laughed warmly and distributed more food, treating each child with gentle care. Admiral Jungi spoke with Sela and the other adults. Your orbital platforms were damaged in the attack. We can repair them. We also have engineers who can help restore your power grid and water systems. You would do that? An elderly Lyrian asked. Why? You have already saved us. Because you need help, Jungi said simply. Is that not enough reason? Lieutenant Commander Dohyun was already working with the Lyrian engineers, showing them how to restore critical systems. The Lyrians were amazed at how the humans worked. They lifted heavy equipment that should have required machines. They worked in temperatures that would have made most species uncomfortable. They solved problems with quick, practical thinking. One Lyrian engineer named Kiro worked beside Dohyun to repair a power junction. I do not understand, Kiro said. Everyone says humans are dangerous, that you come from a death world, that you are violent and brutal. Dohyun paused in his work. We do come from a harsh world, he said. Earth tried to kill us every day. Extreme weather, dangerous animals, diseases, earthquakes and storms and fires. But do you know what that taught us? What? That we need each other to survive. On Earth, humans who worked together lived. Humans who were selfish died. So we learned to protect each other, to help each other. That is what it means to be human. Cairo looked at him with new understanding. So you came here because someone needed help, Dohyun finished, and we were close enough to answer. Over the next several hours, more humans landed. They brought supplies and equipment. They worked alongside the Lyrians, repairing damage and restoring order. The Lyrians slowly began to relax. These were not the monsters they had feared. These were people. Strong people, yes. Powerful people. But kind people, too. Sela found herself talking with Admiral Jungi as he coordinated the rescue efforts. Why did you really come? She asked. The galaxy hates you, fears you. This will not change that. Jungi looked at her with serious eyes. Maybe not. But 40,000 people are alive today who would have been dead or enslaved. That matters more than what the galaxy thinks of us. It must be hard, Sela said. Being judged for things you have not done. Being feared just for existing. It is, Jungi admitted. But we are used to it. On Earth, we face things far more dangerous than prejudice. We survived hurricanes and earthquakes. We survived ice ages and plagues. We survived because we refused to give up. The galaxy's opinion of us? That is just another challenge. We will survive that too. Sela smiled. I think you're right, and I think some of us are starting to see you differently. That evening, Sela recorded a message on her personal communicator. She talked about the attack, about the fear, about watching the human fleet arrive and win a battle that should have been impossible. But most of all, she talked about the humans themselves. About Admiral Jungi's gentle smile, about Corporal Junho playing with children, about Lieutenant Commander Do-hyun patiently teaching Lyrian engineers. I was wrong about humans, she said into the camera. We were all wrong. Yes, they are strong. Yes, they are powerful. Yes, they come from a world that would kill most of us in minutes. But they are not monsters. They are heroes. They came when no one else would. They risked their lives for strangers. And now they are helping us rebuild. If this is what Deathworlders are like, then maybe the galaxy needs more Deathworlders. She uploaded the message to the Galactic Network, not knowing that it would be viewed billions of times in the coming days. Not knowing that it would change everything. As night fell on the colony, Admiral Yoongi stood outside and looked up at the stars. Somewhere out there, the rest of the galaxy was watching, judging, making their decisions about humanity. But here, on this small colony, 40,000 people were alive. Fed, safe, grateful. Captain Minji's voice came through his communicator. Admiral, the prisoner transfer is complete. The 7 Krell ships are secure. What are your orders? We will turn them over to council authorities, Yoongi said. Let them handle the prosecutions. Our job is done here. When do we leave? Yoongi looked at the colony, at the lights coming back on as power was restored. He thought about Piri and the other children, about Sela and her message, about this small moment in time when humans had shown the galaxy who they really were. Tomorrow, he said, give the people one more day to see us as we are. Then we go home. Understood, sir. And sir? We did good today. Yoongi smiled. Yes, Minji, we did very good. The Galactic Council chamber was packed. Every seat was filled. Representatives from species that rarely attended were present. The viewing galleries overflowed with observers. Everyone wanted to witness this moment. Ambassador Hana sat in her usual place, her expression calm. But inside, her heart raced. This was the moment that would define humanity's future in the galaxy. Everything they had worked for came down to what happened in the next hour. Counselor Thel stood at the central podium. His thin frame seemed stronger than before. His voice carried clearly through the chamber. 3 days ago, my people faced extinction, he began. The Krell attacked our colony. We called for help. This council debated for nearly an hour. Every species had an excuse. The distance was too far. The risk was too great. The cost was too high. Everyone had a reason to say no. He paused and looked directly at Hana. Except one. The humans said yes immediately. They asked for nothing in return. They simply came. And because they came, 40,000 of my people are alive today. Thel activated a holographic display. Video footage appeared, floating in the center of the chamber. The battle. The landing. The humans working alongside Lyrians. Children laughing with human soldiers. Admiral Yoongi kneeling to speak with frightened civilians. You all feared them, Thel continued, his voice growing stronger. You called them Deathworlders, barbarians, monsters. But when my people needed heroes, the humans answered. While you debated, they acted. While you made excuses, they risked their lives. The chamber was silent. Representatives who had argued against the human intervention now watched the footage with uncomfortable expressions. They could not deny what they were seeing. I propose a formal recognition, Thel said. The humans have earned the right to be seen as equals in this council. Not as probationary members, not as barely tolerated outsiders, as equals, as protectors, as friends. The Vryn representative, who had been so opposed before, slowly stood. His rocky face was impossible to read, but his voice carried weight. I spoke against the humans, he said. I called them dangerous. I was wrong. He turned to face Hana. Ambassador, on behalf of my people, I apologize. You have shown us who you really are. The galaxy owes you a debt. One by one, other representatives stood and spoke. Some apologized. Some expressed gratitude. Some simply acknowledged that their prejudice had been unjust. It was not a perfect moment. Some species still remained silent, still uncomfortable with humanity's presence. But it was a start. Across the galaxy, Sela's message had gone viral. Billions of beings watched her simple, honest account of meeting the humans. News networks played footage of the battle and the rescue over and over. The narrative was changing, slowly but undeniably. On Earth, Admiral Yoongi returned to military headquarters for his debriefing. He sat in a simple office across from the defense minister, a serious woman named Yoonji. The mission was a complete success, Yoonji said, reviewing the reports. 0 casualties, minimal damage, 40,000 civilians saved, the Krell threat eliminated, textbook execution. Thank you, Minister, Yoongi said. But that is not what matters, is it? Yoonji continued. What matters is this. She activated a screen showing galactic news broadcasts. You changed the conversation. For the first time since we joined the Council, the galaxy is talking about humans as something other than threats. One mission does not erase 5 years of prejudice, Yoongi said carefully. No, but it is a beginning, and beginnings matter. In another part of Earth, Captain Minji attended a ceremony at her old academy. Young cadets gathered to hear her speak about the mission. She looked at their eager faces and chose her words carefully. You will face prejudice, she told them. People will fear you because of where you come from. They will judge you before they know you. It is not fair, it is not right, but it is reality. She paused, making eye contact with as many cadets as she could. So here is what you do. You prove them wrong, not with words, with actions. You show them who you really are. You answer the call when others make excuses. You help when others turn away. You be the person they need, whether they want you there or not. The cadets absorbed her words in silence. The Lyrians were terrified of us, Minji continued. But we came anyway. We fought for them anyway. We saved them anyway. And now, some of them see us differently. That is how you change the galaxy. One mission, one rescue, one act of kindness at a time. Lieutenant Commander Do-hyun found himself in an unexpected position. 3 different alien species had requested his presence as a military advisor. They wanted to learn human tactics, human strategy, the way humans thought about warfare. He accepted the positions, seeing the opportunity for what it was. Not just a chance to teach, but a chance to build relationships, to show that humans could be trusted, to bridge the gap between Earth and the rest of the galaxy. Back at the Council Station, Ambassador Hana received a private message. It was from Sela. I have applied to the Earth Exchange Program, the message read. If accepted, I will visit your world in 3 months. I want to see the place that created people like you. I want to understand how a death world produces heroes. Thank you, Ambassador. Thank you for proving that sometimes the things we fear most are exactly what we need. Hana smiled as she read the message. She composed a reply, welcoming Sela to Earth and promising to show her all the beauty their world had to offer. Not just the dangers, not just the harsh reality, but the sunsets and the oceans and the mountains, the art and music and culture, everything that made Earth home. 6 months later, the Galactic Council passed a historic resolution. Human territories were fully recognized. Human ships were granted free passage through all Council space. And most significantly, a new organization was established, the Terran Protectorate. It was a volunteer force of human ships and crews, dedicated to protecting vulnerable colonies across the galaxy. Captain Minji commanded the first squadron. Other human officers filled key positions. And applications from other species began arriving, requesting to serve alongside humans. Lieutenant Commander Do-hyun stood on the deck of the new Protectorate flagship and watched the first joint training exercises. Human ships flying in formation with Lyrian, Vrin, and Pelian vessels. Different species working together, learning from each other. Never thought I would see this, a voice said beside him. It was a young Vrin officer named Krex, assigned as a liaison. 6 months ago, my people wanted nothing to do with humans. Now I am proud to serve with you. Things change, Do-hyun said. People change when they see the truth. And what is the truth? That we are all just trying to survive. All trying to protect what matters. The details of where we come from matter less than what we choose to do. On Lyrian Colony 7, a monument was unveiled in the central plaza. It showed a human soldier kneeling beside a Lyrian child. Both figures looked up toward the stars. The inscription was simple, carved in both languages. They came when no one else would. Thousands of Lyrians attended the ceremony. Admiral Jungi was there, along with several members of his crew. Counselor Thel gave a speech. Sella read a poem she had written about the rescue. Children sang songs they had learned from the human soldiers. As the sun set, Jungi stood beside the monument and looked at the words carved in stone. They came when no one else would. 7 words that captured everything about that day, about that choice, about what it meant to be human. Sella found him there as the crowd dispersed. She had just returned from Earth, full of stories about her visit. "Your world is beautiful," she told him. "Dangerous, yes, but beautiful. I understand now why you are the way you are. When you live on a world that challenges you every day, you learn to be strong. But you also learn to appreciate life, to protect it, to cherish it." "We are still learning," Jungi said honestly. "We make mistakes. We are not perfect." "No one is perfect," Sella replied. "But you try. That is what matters. You show up, you try, even when it is hard, even when no one expects you to." Far above them, human ships patrolled the space around the colony. Not as conquerors, not as overlords, but as protectors, as guardians, as friends. The galaxy had feared humans for so long, feared their strength, their endurance, their capacity for violence. But the Lyrian rescue had shown them something they had missed. That same strength could protect. That same endurance could persevere in helping others. That same capacity for violence could be directed at those who preyed on the innocent. Humans were Deathworlders. That had not changed. But the meaning of that word had shifted. Deathworlders were not monsters to be feared. They were the ones who came when you called for help. They were the ones who stood between you and danger. They were the thin line that protected civilization from chaos. Ambassador Hana stood before the council one final time to address the assembly. The chamber was respectful now, attentive. The fear had not entirely disappeared, but it was tempered with respect, with gratitude. "Humanity does not seek to dominate the galaxy," Hana said. "We seek only to be part of it, to contribute, to help where we can, to stand with you against common threats. We come from a harsh world, yes, but that world taught us the value of cooperation, of community, of protecting those who cannot protect themselves." She looked around the chamber, meeting the eyes of dozens of different species. "We answered the Lyrian call because it was the right thing to do. We will answer the next call for the same reason, and the one after that, not because we seek glory or recognition, but because someone will need help. And we were built to answer that need." The chamber erupted in applause. It was not universal. Some species still held reservations. But the sound filled the chamber, a recognition that something fundamental had changed. As Hana left the council that day, she thought about all the people who had made this moment possible. Jungi and his steady leadership, Minji and her courage, Doyun and his wisdom, Junho and his compassion, Sella and her honesty, Thel and his trust. The galaxy had dreaded humans. But when the call came, the Deathworlders' fleet answered. And in answering, they changed everything.